the next panel of the Appraise Conference, where we delve into the crucial theme of how training enhances the safeguarding of public spaces. Leading this insightful discussion are esteemed experts in the field, Superintendent Sérgio Felgueiras, Alexandre Amad, Anastasius Dimou, and Professor Sonia Morgado.
Together, this panel promises an engaging exploration of the multiple ways in which training can significantly improve the protection of public spaces, providing valuable perspectives from research, practical application, scientific coordination, and organizational considerations.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome back to our work session. This is almost the end of our today's final appraise meeting, and I'm going to share with you some thoughts about the role of training in terms of the protection of soft targets against terrorist attacks. First of all, I want to share with you a short video that I made here yesterday about the training, and I ask that if you can share the video on the screen.
Why does security training matter when it comes to protecting soft targets? Well, the answer is simple. It's all about preparedness and response. The more prepared security personnel are, the better they can respond to threats and potentially save lives. Today, we're diving into the role of technology in enhancing security training. Virtual reality and augmented reality are transforming the way we train. These immersive technologies simulate real-life scenarios, allowing trainees to practice response strategies and evacuation procedures in a controlled environment. Augmented reality takes it a step further by overlaying digital information onto the real world, enhancing the training environment with real-time data. E-learning platforms offer tailored training content to a wide audience. They host a variety of modules on threat recognition, behavioral analysis, emergency response protocols, and situational awareness, making essential knowledge accessible to all. Let's not forget simulation software, a powerful tool that models various attack scenarios and their potential impacts on soft targets. This helps in training security teams in threat assessment, resource allocation, and emergency response planning. Mobile training apps provide on-the-go training and just-in-time information. They facilitate regular drills and quizzes to reinforce knowledge and readiness. Social media monitoring tools are vital in training programs, equipping security personnel with the skills to gather intelligence and identify threats early. Drones and aerial surveillance technologies offer a bird's-eye view of large areas, enhancing threat detection, crowd monitoring, and post-incident analysis. Artificial intelligence and machine learning analyze data from past terrorist attacks, identifying patterns and insights that inform future security measures and training needs. Gamification increases engagement and retention of information. Game elements challenge trainees to think critically and make rapid decisions. Collaborative platforms and tools enable sharing of best practices, experiences, and strategies among security professionals worldwide, improving overall preparedness. Finally, wearable devices used in training allow for real-time health monitoring, stress management, and biofeedback. This helps trainees understand their physical and psychological responses during high-stress scenarios. In conclusion, technology plays a pivotal role in enhancing security training. From immersive experiences with VR and AR, to the use of AI and ML for data analysis, to the engagement of gamification and the connectivity of collaborative platforms. Technology not only equips security personnel with the skills they need, but also prepares them for the unpredictable nature of their roles, ultimately creating a safer environment for everyone.
So this was a very exercise that we did with artificial intelligence. So it's easier today to create this kind of movies, but this can be some tools to enhance and foster the potential of training activities. Well, this morning we spoke, we heard that there are a lot of barriers in the protection and to create a safe and secure environment around the soft targets. And we can start, like Tassos mentioned, our private discussion yesterday. Sometimes we need back to the basics, and we must start when we start with the foundations in the security principles to understand what are the gaps that we must fill with the training. That means that in many days, in many organizations, in many environments, the training is always presented as a need. But if we look carefully, we can find the idea that sometimes training is not the answer to the problem. It's usually in police forces, if, for instance, if there is a gap on domestic violence or another topic, there are a lot of organizations. The solution for the problem is train the police. Okay? And what we need to have is a kind of train need assessment instrument to verify if the train is needed to fill the gap that we think we need to go through. So the first idea is we need to have we need to set up the instrument to assess the train needs. I know that in the European Union, the CIPOL, they have a strategical train need assessment tool, and this can give us some ideas. Okay. The second idea that I want to share with you is to tackle the problem that we heard in the morning, the cooperation, the interoperability amongst public sector, private sector, and the society. So one way to try to have a solution for that, we can use train to overcome that difficulty. We must have some training programs where public and private sector train together side by side. And at the lunchtime, I spoke with Mr. Security representatives, and we are discussing. So sometimes we need to have some people from the private sector to deliver train to the public authorities, and the opposite. So, because to have cooperation, to have a close cooperation, we need to have trust and confidence in the partners. And to build trust, we can use train as a tool, a powerful tool to build trust. I know that is very difficult because we don't have time in the police forces for the training programs. Each time we need to implement a new program, the police commanders say, oh, we don't have enough resources to send to the training activities because there is a lack of officers, there is a lot of work to do, the workload is very heavy. So the training is always losing against the demand for security. So, so for that, I believe that we must have a critical vision and a strategical vision to plan the training scheme according to the needs that we have, with a proper program, with a proper staff, professors or trainers to deliver the training. Because sometimes we have, for instance, a new technology that appear, and the people who are going to deliver the training are the representatives of the technological partner. But we need to incorporate some pedagogical insights, and we need to create a kind of translator between the technology and the security operations. And that means that the training institutions are in good position to help in that field. So, to sum up, we need to know what we need to train. We need to know what are the goals that we want to fulfill. We need to know the methods that we are going to use for training. For instance, here in the film we saw that technology can produce some environments, for instance, for decision-making practices. That is the most difficult when you have a soft target event. In the soft target, sometimes you need to simulate decisions. And I remember in the first day of the European Championship in 2004 in the Oporto City, in Estádio Dragão, we have an incident that we never trained. Imagine that we deploy all the police officers, all the security, the private security officer as well, and suddenly appeared something that we never thought before. A Zeppelin. A Zeppelin flying towards the stadium, and was in violation of the non-flying zone. Okay? And then what we are going to do with this situation? Snipers calling to the commander. Well, we have a Zeppelin in our vision, so what we must do? Shoot them down, or? And then we ask, consulting the post commander, the national post commander, no answer. And the Zeppelin is coming. Okay? At the very final moment, the police commander in the field, on the spot, he made a final statement to the national director. Sir, if you don't give me an answer in 30 seconds, we are going to shooting down the Zeppelin. And the second 29, someone for the highest level, oh, that is the Zeppelin from UEFA, and they got authorization to pass over the stadium. So, for the training, what we need was the lack of communication, the information sharing, the decision making, and this is a very good example of the stressful that can be. So training is also a powerful tool to deal with the risk. For the risk management is one of the tools that we can use to increase the risk levels. So these are the first thoughts that I have about the subject, and I'm going to give the floor to to my colleagues, and then if you have any question, please feel free to ask. Thank you so much for your attention.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Sergio, for this talk. This reminds me of something about training. I'm taking this Zeppelin experience. I would say a couple of years ago, but it's more than 10 years ago, so a couple is not enough. I was experiencing with a European project framework like this, a training in critical infrastructure. It was in France, infrastructure, storing gas, a lot of gas, so it was a big danger in a natural area, so there's a risk of big wildfires after that. And so this critical infrastructure is here, and we were doing a training. And so we did the training, and so it was a physical training, and it happened that all the means that they had to protect against the fires, they didn't work. So they discovered this during the training. So well, luckily we did the training before something happened, and and almost every year they have a risk, a big risk, but they didn't train. And why don't they train? Because the law obliges to do one training per year. and they have 30 procedures of training. So every year they do one of the procedures. So you need 30 years of experience to have done all the procedures. Now we might think this is funny, but in fact it's the regulation. We don't train if we don't have to train, if the events, they don't happen. I mean, we are talking about counter-terrorism, terrorism. Luckily, we don't have terrorist attack. We don't have these events often, luckily. But yet, we need to prepare for that if this happens. But it's hard yet to prepare. As you say, if this happens, we need the one organization to have the hierarchy, the decisions, the right deployments, plus it often goes beyond one organization, necessitate collaboration with other organizations. How do we communicate? Do we have systems or not? The human means, what do we have? And actually this is what is interesting, is that training, if we oblige ourselves to do the training to prepare for something that maybe will never happen, hopefully in one lifetime. But if this happens, that of course will help us understand the organization, and also what is most important, we're talking about systems here. Systems will give us information. Systems will give us maybe some automation in some decisions, little decisions, but yet most of what is the most important, I think, is the decisions that we humans have to take together and just ourselves to be ready for that. And this is something I think very hard, and the training that we must do for any big disaster or counter-terrorism, a terrorist attack on public space, is really something that we must train for. And I've seen a lot of trainings where people didn't know how to react, and even though on paper, even though they have the studies, they have the diplomas, but when it comes to real practice, it becomes complicated. And this is something that stems out from the different pilots and the discussions of yesterday, is that the collaboration is really key within the organization and within other organizations, medical services, private companies, public organizations, firefighters, police, and everyone who can be involved. Thank you. This was my talk. Thank you for your attention. And please, Tassos.
Okay, so I will start my thoughts from the discussion that we had earlier this morning. As we said, establishing an effective collaboration between public and private authorities and practitioners is only viable if there is trust. So it is very important to establish this trust, and this can be done only by common operations, because we need to have a better understanding between the stakeholders, and this understanding is can be on the technology that they have, the resources that they have. It can be people, it can be infrastructure. So we need to establish first a knowledge about what is available. This is step one. Second one is to very well establish what are the responsibilities of which one of the partners, and of course to understand how this collaboration can be done under pressure, because when we will have an event, then there will be pressure, and we need to have clearly defined how this collaboration can be done. This, of course, can start with some with defining some procedures, but if we stay in theory, that this will not happen and there will never be trust. We need to have all the stakeholders working together on a field, on a training, in a training ground, and understanding better what are the real capabilities, how much we can depend on these capabilities for each partner, and this is something that takes time. So for sure, training is essential, and I would say we have the training that is happening before an event, but also it is very important after the collaboration that in a real event which can slowly be developed. It's also important to be able to have a post-event collaboration, so analyzing what happened, what are what happened there, what went well, what went bad, refining these procedures, and only through this kind of process, which for sure it will be slow, but it can establish this trust, this holy grail of trust. As Sergio mentioned, there are now more possibilities to facilitate this training and make it more realistic using technologies. So we have a lot of simulation tools. We have the concept of digital twins that is gradually coming in several sectors, which can also be a technology that can help. We also have augmented and virtual reality devices that we can develop training procedures. And this is something that we need to take into account, because it will make everybody's life easier, because we have something more flexible. Organizing a training event means that we need to mobilize quite a lot of resources in terms of people, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of tools, and this is not something that can be done easily, and it costs a lot of money, and then it is abandoned, and then it happens that we do the training once a year. So my thoughts are that we need to invest more on creating this kind of tools. Technology is also helping us. Some relevant technologies have been mentioned in the video. We can measure the bio characteristics of the person participating. We can identify the attention capabilities of the people that are in the training. We have eye tracking technologies that can help us with that. So I believe that through especially virtual reality, we can reconstruct this kind of environment that can be used into training. One example that I have in mind is in a project that was related more with first responders and search and rescue teams and firefighters. I was talking with some teams, and they were saying that it's, we need, for example, firefighters need to have a drill and try to penetrate a wall so that they can reach a victim, and this is something that is quite expensive, because they have to buy the tools, they have to to identify buildings that they will, make holes in it, and it has a huge organizational overhead. So he was contemplating the design of a dedicated training center for first responders and search and rescue teams, where people could go there and test the efficiency of tools, and with the use of these digital twins to understand what would be the efficacy of these tools. And this could be done purely digital, but also it can be like a combination of the actual world and the virtual world. So I think that this is one way that we should, one path that we should pursue for sure, because it also gives us the versatility to change scenarios and test different things faster. We can change the virtual setup of a room, and we don't need to have a specific installation that gives us these capabilities with hardware and infrastructure. I think I will stop here for my first intervention.
So it's my time to wrap it up concerning my session, my panel, but I'm going to pick up from something that I spoke about during the lunch about organization. We can have security, we can have technologies, but we need obviously an administration, a work organization in place, not only when we are using technologies, but also on the backstage to process information, to process procedures, to be able to do it with a fluid contact, so then there is no stopping, there is no blocks when we have to do an intervention. It is important to have technologies for security reasons, but we also have to have a backup plan when doing all the procedures that concerns police activity. If you don't have this plan, if you don't have this kind of material to work on, it is almost impossible to have our technologies or new technologies to be. It's not possible to have efficient technologies if we don't have something that supports our work. If the line of thoughts, if the line of decision takes too long, we'll lose the opportunity to do something right. So, besides or alongside with introducing technology, with the problems of secrecy, with the problems of privacy and freedom rights, we have to have this backup, this structure, well-organized structure to allow us to have good interventions, just-in-time interventions about the problems that we have to solve. Also, we need to acknowledge that sometimes, as Hugo Pimentel said, sometimes we have a reactive response because it's necessary, because we have unscheduled events, and also we have our other dimension that is to be educational, that is to be to teach the citizens how to behave and to show them that there is no need to have deviant behaviors, to have a more safer society. So the pilots show us that we can react or that we can have proactive management of risk behavior. In Gdansk, we did that. We provide the instruments to detect the threat, and afterwards with the reaction of the police team of Gdansk. So it was a very nice intervention and a very nice pilot. We cannot stop technology. We cannot stop evolution. As we growth in terms of having technology in our side, and I mean by that in police side, and I'm on police side, if I may say it like this. We have to be aware that criminal activity or behavior, risky behavior, are always one step ahead from us, because they have the means, because they can invest in technologies that, in case of national police, have more difficulties to put in practice for all the budget constraints that we have through the years that we work and will be working, even if we dress the t-shirt and we have the passion to do a very nice work and to be proactive in what we do. So, bottoms up. Training is important to change minds, to also reduce resistance to the change. Training is important to the dimension of public, so that they can perceive that change and use of technologies is not against them, but in favor of them, in some cases, of course, not all the time. And the dimension of training the futures officials that we are here for, that also, that it's important to incorporate every learning, every aspect of the technology, of the benefits the technology has, even if that means higher investments for the police, for the law enforcement agencies, to keep our society safe. Thank you so much for your time. So it seems we have time for some questions, so feel free to do it, and the panel might answer some of questions that you have. Please don't be shy. Everyone is shy. We are in the right place to ask questions. I can put Mentimeter, there it is. Someone is making a question, so I will wait for the question by itself. Okay, so.
I just wanted to say something about the training, and Sergio told me that, well, Tasso said that it's expensive to train. It's more expensive to not train and have events not be prepared, and then to try to do what you have to do without being ready for that. And so I've been working for a European project for 20 years now. And in fact, what I've seen is that during all the projects, we have exercises with technology, technological end users working with end users. And in end users, many end users, sometimes private, sometimes public, sometimes together, working together. And it's always a great opportunity this European programs and framework to create synergies and pilots, which are expensive but co-financed by the European Union. So this makes this possible around Europe, and this is very, very good to have this. And I think we can thank this kind of framework to exist, to have trainings. So for the technology, but also for the first responders, all together with the private companies. Because I know this. I mean, it's a long time to create the scenarios, to create how we're going to work together, what should we work for, how to cooperate. This takes time, a lot of investments to have the people, the police officers, security officers, the technology, as Iñaki said yesterday, just to install cameras to make this happen. So there was a big administrative issue, and I know that he has sent, I don't know how many thousands of emails also, just on this topic. And well, just to say that this is, I think we can thank the European frameworks for this.
Okay, so I see the question. I was also planning to discuss a bit projects and the training procedure. I have also been participating in several projects, and also I'm regularly participating in writing and drafting new proposals. Training is one essential part of every proposal. I can assure you that all the proposals in the domain, they have a training module that is more or less stressed. There are some pilot exercises, but the question is, what is the correct procedure to do that? So from my experience, I have seen two strategies from the people that are drafting the proposals. One is to start discussing from the beginning with the security practitioners, trying to understand what are their current policies and their current procedures, and try to adjust the whole proposal and the tools that are being proposed, so that they can fit somehow in these procedures. Most of the procedures have been designed for many years ago. The technology that we have today, it was not available at the point, so it doesn't take it into account. And then we have something that is tested in the pilots, but it doesn't take into account what Sergio told us, that we also need to go back and to rethink the basic principles and the basic procedures, and revamp them, taking into account also what are the technologies. So there is like a valley of death that is created in the exploitation of the tools, because either they are not so compatible in the end with the current procedures, or sometimes they are too futuristic and not relevant with the procedure. So there is a problem to exploit them, and the uptake from the police forces in this case, it is quite limited. There have been discussions with different people on what is the optimal strategy, and actually recently I was discussing that police academies can play an important role in that, because it's to get the technology from the provider and to give it directly to the police, to the active police force, the operational police forces. So one strategy could be to pass this first to academies, because we will need anyway several iterations and feedback to make the tools really compatible with the work that is being done. And when there is some more mature procedures, then we go on and train the police officers. So it's not only about training, but it's spending the time for training for tools that can actually make difference. So we cannot just initiate the training for every project, because probably some of the tools are not so well integrated, and we are losing time. So one idea would be to have this, to use police academies as a stepping stone for that. And also another measure that I think that would greatly benefit this training procedure, but also side to side with development, would be to have I don't know if in police academies or in police, to have a specific division that will have this as its dedicated work, to be able to test technologies, to validate them, and to pass them forward. So this is an idea for thought for the police directors.
Well, it's okay, it's 3 minutes sharp. I won't speak 1 minute. Well, some years ago, I was involved in the first European exchange program for education staff that work in police, and I was assigned to go to Netherlands. And in Netherlands Academy, Police Academy, I was working with some colleagues in the education of police commanders. And we face a huge barrier, because the police commanders, they know everything. They don't need the need to have trained. So one strategy that we start to use was Friday afternoon, we send out a quiz for police commanders, and the next Monday morning we have some replies. Oh, perhaps we must go to the train in that area or in that topic. So it was a way to wake up the professionals that sometimes we need to stop and we need to go training. So this can be one of the barriers. And like we mentioned before, for interoperability of systems between public and private sector, we need to have common standards, we need to have a common language, we need to have a common approach, and to have that, we need to train together.
I don't know if we're on time. Just maybe the one question over there: how can the issue of security be made important and part of the agenda when the country is the 7th safest in the world and society doesn't feel the need? Which is a good question. I think an unfortunate answer is maybe what we have seen, the shooting in Prague recently, which I think Prague, or the country, I remember, is one of the safest area. And yet there was a shooting. So the probability that something bad happens, of course, increases as the population augments. I believe that either it's luck, there's nothing happens, and we know that police also is based on, well, most of the people, 99% of the people are good people, nothing happens, but there's this little percentage of bad behaviors. And also is that maybe if the area is safe is because there's in the background security, which you don't see, maybe that's the secrecy, and which also try to stop any bad behavior that can happen. Okay, that's maybe an answer to that question.
So it will be very useful to answer to all these questions, but the time is up. So once again, I'm the bad girl in this conference, just cutting all the discussions and the debates, but we keep on time. And I will give the floor to Jana before the closing remarks. Ismael, sorry. No, Ismael, you can come to the stage. Thank you so much for your time. Mas podes fazer no meu iPad.
No, I thought it was actually after Jana. That's why I wasn't really. It's okay, no problem. I'm just gonna steal 5 minutes of your time. Just to thank you all for the invitation to be here at this Appraise Final event, to give a new perspective to this closing event. Unfortunately, and we're very aware of it, the threat to public spaces doesn't seem to diminish. We've seen also in the past years terrorist attacks that took place in public spaces, just the last one, for instance, in October in Brussels, where an active shooter went out on the street, killed 4 and injured many more. So a threat that is not diminishing, of course, requires new holistic responses and a concerted approach. Unfortunately, these attacks we can call them terrible reminders in a way of the need that we have to take into account the perspectives of the community and their need for protection. So the current landscape also we live in, with the tensions in the Middle East, the war in Ukraine, is adding to this risk level and to this insecurity. Unfortunately, today, European Union citizens live in a very fast-changing scenario, we can say, when it comes to security threats. Among the security threats that, for instance, we identified with Europol are, of course, the misuse of drone technologies, the misuse of chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear CBRN materials. Many of these threats, as we've seen also in the technology fair here in the Appraise project and also in the pilots, have been analyzed, and you came up with technologies, with solutions, with collaborative models to address some of these threats. Very important is also the online dimension when it comes to the threat to public spaces. And I feel the Appraise project, taking into account the analysis of social media, it's really has done a lot to also integrate the cyber dimension together with the physical dimension when it comes to the protection of public spaces, which is, of course, very important. Very often we see online threats that then translate, unfortunately, into offline action and offline attacks. So I just wanted to close by really recognizing the added value of a project like Appraise. For us in the European Commission, it is important to fund projects that really have an added value when it comes to the protection of public spaces. And I think this was very clear in the case of Appraise, both with the cyber and physical dimensions together, but also with all the technologies that you came up with, and also creating these pilots that really showed real life scenarios where this technology could be applied, as well as important elements that we've seen during the project, like the public-private cooperation, the cooperation with law enforcement, and the training component, the training element that, as was rightly said before me, it is, of course, very important. I wanted to close by saying that for us in the European Commission, it's important to support member states when we can in their efforts to protect public spaces. We will continue really funding projects that have an added value, both through the Horizon program, but also through the Internal Security Fund. As I said before, we just published a new funding call for 30 millions, really dedicated to the protection of public spaces. So I won't keep you more than this. Just wanted to say thank you very much, and we look forward to continue the good collaboration and to continue supporting member states also through the funding of these projects in the fight against terror attacks to public spaces. Thank you very much.
As we move forward to the end of our conference program, it is my pleasure to give the floor to Jana.
I am allowed to use this one, if it works. No?
It's now on. It's now.
Okay, thanks. So, if you allow me, I will stay here. First of all, thank you once again for the organization. Thanks to all the people who came and to everyone who shared his experience or her experience today on the sea. To be honest, Appraise has been quite special for me because I have been working in new projects for 12 years, but for diverse reasons, I had never had a project that I followed since the start until the very end of it. And for the first time it happened with Appraise, and also for the first time I was the coordinator. And it was a real pleasure to be able to come here with the perspective that we are not just closing the door on the project and saying what we have done, but also think how we can go one step forward, how we can bring our work to the next level. Because yesterday, as you have seen through the agenda, through the whole day, we had the opportunity to share what we have done, and if I may, even celebrate the success of the project, which is thanks to all of its partners, and I cannot thank you enough for everything you have done. But for me, today was the day where we really spoke about what are the next challenges, how we can really move forward, what kinds of opportunities are there to move forward, to make the technologies better, to make training better, to always take into account ethics, societal acceptance, the legal aspects, because developing technologies is one thing, but putting them in the public space and making them useful is the next level, and this is what we will try to target. So thank you once again to all those who are present, to all the speakers who made it all the way through Europe in some cases. Thank you for this opportunity, Sonia, to hold the event here, and thank you once again. Just leave it and go away, hide.
Reaching the conclusion of our conference, let's just wait some minutes before the closing remarks. Thank you.
many of you, I've been in contact with many of these projects, EU-funded projects. And nevertheless, when we arrive to the end of the project, I would say the majority of these projects. Thank you.
Sorry.
The majority of those projects don't end with a strong recommendation on, usually on common standards for training, for police procedure, for private security agency procedures, wherever, even for common regulations. Although, if we have a lot of common regulations, I mean, directives, regulations, whatever, from the EU, from the Commission, from the Council, or whatever. But I have the feeling that we spend a lot of money sometimes in this kind of projects. They are all positive, and I have no doubts on that. But maybe you should expect, it's not fault of any one of us that are here, you know, even for those that are part of the projects, that the work that is done should give us more results in what concerns the applicability for this kind of projects. We develop technologies, but sometimes those technologies, they go to the private hands. Sure, they are developed by the private sector, but at the end, we are not going to profit properly from the work that the project has arrived, or for the results of the project. That's a challenge that I leave here for all of us, because I think that we should have more results in what concerns the applicability of the results of this kind of project. And I think Appraise is one good project. I think the results are very good, and we have to develop, I don't know if we have to have an Appraise 2 to improve the results, or to get to a point where we can say those results are in practice by the police, by the private security agencies, or whatever. And we have some common standards that everybody that works in this area should apply for that. That's more a challenge than a question, but I don't know.
Respond to the challenge. And also, Ismael, can respond to the challenge.
It's not provocative, it's just a thinking.
No, actually, I will answer with a challenge. I would really like you and all the end users of the project to really. I understand that you know, adopting the whole Appraise platform is probably something that is difficult in many ways, but there are quite a lot of tools that have been developed. They can be developed in the framework of the project up to a point. But I think that there is potential, and in many cases, the private sector, let's say the technology providers, they want to go on, and they want to continue this collaboration, using often, especially when we are talking about AI, using real operational data that can, you know, boost also the efficiency of the tools. So my challenge would be to go through the tools, check what is interesting for you, and what you think that is in a level that can be operationally deployed, or it could be in a reasonable time, and discuss with us these possibilities. I think that you will be surprised on the intent to go on this work, because also for us it's and I'm talking as a technical partner also, it's we don't want to put an idea in the drawer and leave it there. We want to go on, and we want to continue developing stuff and making a difference on the field.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a little point. I understand sometimes the frustration of working on something that then it is difficult to kind of transpose and adapt to the member states, but it's also true that at the European Commission we don't have, for instance, any operational capacity. So the internal security, it's primarily a matter of the member states. So it's up to the member states then to adopt the adopt the regulations and all that. So as we can support as much as we can, but it's true, and it's like this, that the internal security is mainly a role of the member states. And on another note, maybe something interesting, at the Commission we are thinking, because many projects, it's true that produce also guidelines, handbooks that could be very important and to disseminate, and very important to also take a look at years after the end of the projects as well. And we kind of feel that sometimes this runs the risk of getting lost. All this knowledge that is produced and prepared, all the leaflets and books, everything that is prepared by the project, sometimes run the risk after the end of getting lost. So we are thinking of maybe creating kind of like a repository in DG Home that can be accessed with the materials that, of course, the projects want to make available, that can be made available, with the information that is not, of course, classified or anything, that can be made available to the public, also to have access to these documents and to these materials years after the end of projects, because many of them, I mean, stay relevant, very, very relevant, even after a lot of time. So we are working on it. It's still in the works, but it's something that I think could be good to not to end the dissemination efforts at the end of the project implementation, let's say. Thank you.
And also probably not to start from scratch each time.
Yeah, sure.
So, hello again. So my director asked me to make it's a part of the project, so I'm going to try to sum up what happened here during the last 2 days. And of course, we are very glad to host the final event of Appraise. It was a very good opportunity for cooperation to foster our relation that we started 3 years ago. I remember in the first moment we don't have the chance to meet together because of the stupid virus that we have at those days, and then we make a lot of video conf calls, and well, it was the way. Anyway, the Appraise final event underscores several critical themes in the realm of security and safety, particularly concerning the evolving landscape of terrorist threats to public space and soft targets. These themes not only reflect the current challenges faced by security entities, but also point towards strategic directions and solutions in mitigating such risks. The key themes stressed during the event include enhanced collaboration and cooperation, the necessity for intensified collaboration and cooperation among various security entities, both public and private, was a central subject. This is crucial in addressing the complex nature of modern terrorist attacks, which now encompass both physical and cyber dimensions. We are living in the phygital world. We have a component of physics and digital. So like the marketeers nowadays sell this topic. The ease of cross-border movements and the communications within Europe adds layers of complexity to security efforts underscoring the importance of seamless information exchange among European countries. The second topic that we want to stress, advanced technology integration. The event highlighted the pivotal role of advanced technologies and systems, such as the PRAISE system, in combating terrorism. These technologies include social media and dark web analysis, cyber attack detection, crowd density monitoring, sound detection and localization, and enhanced communication and coordination tools like, for instance, the technologies that we use in the tests that we made, and we stressed yesterday during the afternoon the pilots that we have. The use of such technologies in simulated exercises demonstrated their potential in improving response mechanisms and preventing measures against terrorist attacks. The third point, realistic simulation exercise. The detailed presentation of 4 terrorist attack simulations in different European locations illustrated the practical application of these technologies and methodologies in real-world scenarios. These simulations provide valuable insights into the challenges and effectiveness of current security strategies, offering lessons learned and good practices for the future incidents. Idea number 4, the importance of multi-sectoral and transborder security approaches. The discussions emphasize the significance of protecting critical digital infrastructures and the vulnerabilities introduced by the new technologies. A focus on the multi-sectoral and transborder infrastructures highlighted the need for a systematic security approach that can address hybrid threats, thereby enhancing overall resilience. Never forget the security foundations and principles. That is very important to take into consideration. The CBRN protection measures for public space. Well, we have here some sister projects that we heard, and then the introduction of new measures to protect public space from chemical, biological, and radiological and nuclear threats reflects a multidisciplinary approach to public safety. Implementing advanced detection technologies reinforce security protocols, and specialized training for security personnel are essential components of this strategy. Balancing security with fundamental rights. The dialogue on surveillance, privacy, and freedom stressed the critical balance between using surveillance technologies for security and protecting fundamental rights and civil liberties. This theme calls for strict regulation, transparent implementation, and ethical considerations to ensure that security measures do not infringe upon fundamental rights. European Programme for Public Space Protection. The presentation of the European Programme for the Protection of Public Space showcased the EU's commitment to enhancing public safety through guidance, technical support, and the promotion of best practices amongst member states. This initiative underscores the importance of shared responsibility and cooperation in safeguarding public spaces. Experience in managing large public events. The practical experience shared by the security professionals, particularly in the management of significant events like the Youth World Day that we heard this morning, provide insights into the complexities of crowd control, public order, and coordination among various security and organizational entities. These experiences highlight the challenge and the strategies for ensuring the safety and security of mass gatherings in public spaces. These themes collectively paint a comprehensive picture of the current security landscape, emphasizing the importance of innovation, collaboration, and a balanced approach to addressing the multifaceted nature of terrorist threats in today's world. As we confront the evolving landscape of security threats, It is through our unified dedication to innovation, collaboration, communication, and the protection of fundamental rights that we shall not only defend our public realms, but also reinforce the pillars of democracy that define our sustain our societies into the future. Thank you so much for your attention, and I hope this sum up can inspire new initiatives to have a kind of follow-up after our appraise program. Thank you so much, not only for the people that attend, but also the all appraise partners that they are here, for the cooperation that we had for the last 3 years and some weeks. So thank you so much, and I wish you that your return will be a safe return, and in the hope that we continue in our cooperation that we started some years ago. Thank you so much.
We finally reached the final day of day 2 of this event. I hope everyone has enjoyed, and thank you for your presence.